Good morning, everyone, and a very happy Ram Navami to all of you. Now, today I am recording my video on HMP shunt, a very important shunt which is a part of carbohydrate metabolism. Now, see, whenever we talk about carbohydrate metabolism, there are some major pathways and there are some alternative pathways. As it is clear from the word itself, major pathways means one molecule of glucose is predestined to undergo that major pathway. And some are alternative pathways. Now, why they are known as alternative pathways? Because they are restricted to particular tissues. And they, whenever they are, they occur in our body, they generate certain very important alternatives which are required by our body, right? So today we will be discussing this HMP shunt. Now, first of all, the question which must be, arising in your minds is, why do we call it as a shunt? Why we call it as a shunt? Because shunt does not have an end product. Means whatever intermediates are produced by this HMP, they are reutilized within the body. And the other name of this HMP shunt is hexose monophosphate pathway also. Because here the precursor, or it starts from glucose 6-phosphate always. And it is also known as PPP, pentose phosphate pathway. As it requires, it synthesizes a ribose sugar, which is pentose, which is having 5 carbon atoms. So these are the different terminologies. It is why it is known as a shunt, because it does not have an end product. Also known as hexose monophosphate pathway, because it starts with always glucose 6-phosphate, and it is also known as PPP, pentose phosphate pathway, as it synthesizes ribose sugar. Now, what are the important, since it is an alternative method, so first of all, you should know where it occurs, isn't it? So it occurs mainly in the RBCs, adipose tissue, then liver, right? And the site of this is cytoplasm. Since it occurs in the cytoplasm, it has to be an anabolic process. Anabolic means it is leading to synthesis of something, right? Then it is a multicyclic process, because it always starts with 3 molecules of glucose 6-phosphate. Now, since this is an alternative method, I would ask you also what significance it has to play in the body. So the significant feature of this is it generates NADPH. Always remember, it generates NADPH, not NADH, right? And it generates carbon dioxide along with ribose sugar. These are the 3 very, very important. This is a byproduct. which are actually given by this HMP. And always remember, it is always NADPH and not NADH. If you write NADH, the answer will be totally wrong, because it occurs in the body just to generate NADPH and ribose sugar. And that is why it is known as a alternative method. So I'll just quickly go through the points again. Alternative method, multicyclic process, occurs in the cytosol, and it is an anabolic process. And what it is generating? It is generating NADPH, carbon dioxide, and ribose sugar. Right? Now we will come over to the characteristics and how this process occurs. Now see, this HMP has two phases: oxidative phase and a non-oxidative phase. Now see, oxidative means obviously it involves oxidation, and non means no involvement of oxygen is there, right? So now one thing also I want to tell you here is, see, one is HMP, other is EMP, hexose monophosphate, and this is EMP, Embedon-Meyerhof-Prannas pathway, or it is glycolysis. Now, what are the major points of differentiation between HMP and EMP? EMP is simple, you can say, occurs in all tissues, because this is the major pathway. And HMP occurs, it is an alternative, so it is restricted to certain other tissues only. Like just now I mentioned, then always produces carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide never produced, right? And third is no ATP. And here ATP is always produced. In fact, glycolysis occurs just to produce ATP. As you know, aerobic gives 7 ATP and anaerobic gives 2 ATP molecules. Even though it does not produce ATP, then also it is a very important pathway, because it generates NADPH and ribose sugar along with carbon dioxide. So now we are going to discuss first of all the oxidative phase. Now, since I told you it is a multicyclic process, so it always starts with glucose 6-phosphate. So first step is glucose 6-phosphate, which has 6 carbon atoms, undergoes oxidation because it is an oxidative phase. Whenever we talk about oxidation, it is always NADP will be converted into NADPH plus H positive. And it forms an intermediate, which is 6-phosphogluconate, which again has 6 carbon atoms. Now you can see the number of carbon atoms is the same. And the enzyme here is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, the rate limiting enzyme of this process. Always remember, you should always remember the rate limiting enzymes, because without them the reaction does not occur, right? After this, again, second dehydrogenation occurs, where NADP will be converted into NADPH plus H positive, right? And it will form an intermediate, which is 3-keto 6-phosphogluconate. It again has 6 carbon atoms. Right now you see there is no decrease in the number of carbon atoms. The number of carbon atoms is the same. This is again dehydrogenation. Now what happens is this 6 carbon atom will undergo decarboxylation. It will give out one molecule of carbon in the form of carbon dioxide, and this is spontaneous decarboxylation. Spontaneous decarboxylation. And it forms ribulose 5-phosphate, and here the number of carbon atoms decreases. So this is what this is, a oxidative phase. And since I told you it is a multicyclic process, that means it always starts with 3 molecules of glucose 6-phosphate, right? And here it will give 3 molecules of a ribulose 5-phosphate. And the rate limiting enzyme is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. And here the oxidative phase ends. Is it clear? Then what happens is, second is the non-oxidative phase. And here you will come to know why it is known as a shunt. So since it is giving 3 molecules of ribulose 5-phosphate, I can write it like this. Ribulose 5-phosphate, 5-phosphate and ribulose 5-phosphate. Now what happens is they will undergo epimerase reaction, epimerase and isomerase. Now, when it undergoes epimerase, it will form xylulose 5-phosphate, right? This will form again xylulose 5-phosphate, and this will form ribose 5-phosphate. Now here it also has 5 carbon atoms. It has 5 carbon atoms. It has 5 carbon atoms now. Now what happens is we have to regenerate the things back. So 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. So it will split up into 7 carbon and 3 carbon. And the enzyme here will be transketolase. Always remember, transketolase requires TPP or B1 as a coenzyme. Now this 3 carbon atom is simple glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, or I'll write 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde. And 7 carbon is pseudoheptulose, which has 7 carbon atoms. Now what happens is these two will recombine again. 7 plus 3, 10. Again, it will split up into 6 carbon atom and 4 carbon atom. 6 carbon atom is fructose 6-phosphate, which will enter in glycolysis. And this 4 carbon atom will now combine with this 5 plus 4, 9, and it will split up into 6 carbon and 3 carbon atom. Now we come to the enzyme. Here the enzyme is trans-aldolase. And here the enzyme is trans-ketolase. Again, I will mention it here, TPP and B1, because this is the most important coenzyme. Now we look at the products. The products are 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde, glycolysis. Fructose 6-phosphate, glycolysis. And glycolysis. So you can see, if we pen down this reaction, you can very well see that 2 transketolase and 1 trans-aldolase reaction is there. Or finally, it generates fructose 6-phosphate, 3-phosphoglycerolaldehyde, and fructose 6-phosphate. That is why these are the products of glycolysis. So it doesn't have an end product, or it is the shunt. And if we have to overall calculate or write this equation is very simple. 3 molecules of glucose 6-phosphate, they will give 6 combined with 6 NADP, forming what? They will form 2 molecules of glucose 6-phosphate plus 3-phosphoglycerolaldehyde plus 3 carbon dioxide plus 6 NADPH. So you can see this is how the entire HMP shunt takes place. I hope this shunt is clear to all of you. Let's just quickly revise. Multicyclic process, I'll just give you multicyclic process. An alternative pathway occurs in the cytoplasm, anabolic in nature. It has 2 phases, oxidative and non-oxidative phase. This is the major difference between HMP and EMP. And this is the entire equation which we get in the end. And always remember, it has 2 trans-ketolase reactions and 1 trans-aldolase. Trans-ketolase cannot occur without TPP or B1. So B1 is the major coenzyme for this, right? And tissues where HMP cannot take place are the non-lactating mammary glands, and the skin. These are the 2 tissues where this HMP shunt can never take place, right? And it is very low in the skeletal muscle also. But yes, it plays a very, very important role in the adipose tissue, because you can see it generates this NADPH. In fact, this is the only shunt which generates NADPH, along with other maleic enzyme also, but this is the shunt which is giving NADPH, which is required for most of the in the metabolism of fatty acids, be it cholesterol biosynthesis, be it fatty acid synthesis. So this is all about HMP shunt. I hope it is clear to all of you. In my next video, I will be discussing about the different type of shuttle systems. Right. So if you like my video, share it to maximum number of students as possible. And in my next video, we will be discussing the shuttle systems in detail. Have a good day.